Yeah, when you misuse the power of choice,
Yes,
uh,
yes.
your capacity to choose reduces. When you actually put it to the right use, choose Krishna, or choose activities that will take you towards Krishna, or at least choose things in mode of goodness, the power to choose increases. And we also mentioned one very famous line by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, who's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Something very powerful he said, basis which we discussed a few more things. Anyone remembers that?
Give us a clue.
Okay, wait. Anyone else remembers that? It's related to what we just discussed in terms of power of choice. So it was related to power of choice. After saying what uh, Barija just mentioned, I what was it? Okay, so I was actually discussing or describing what Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj had mentioned. Anyone remembers that?
I see a line written in my books, flexibility of choice muscles.
Yes, that's also true. Yes, you need to flex our choice muscles, choose the right things, and with that flexing, right kind of flexing, right, uh, you will have more capacity to do. So yes, but I mentioned something very very important for all of us as practicing spiritualists. It's about desire.
Yes, I remember.
Yes, please.
Empowerment happens when you desire the capacity of seeing Krishna exceeds the actual capacity. It is through Krishna.
Yes, who was that? Kavita?
Rinku,
Rinku. Oh, okay. Yes, excellent. So,
thank you.
thank you for remembering. I really want to, take.
There's one more line. Then
Yes.
you can have a spiritual body and go back to Godhead, to the Godhead.
Yes, perfect.
Thank
So, uh, when your desire exceeds your capacity to serve Krishna, that is the time when empowerment happens. And as we, desire more and more, Krishna keeps empowering us more and more so that we can serve Him, to a point when it comes that Krishna says, okay, the material body is not fit because it's very limited, and your desire to serve me is unlimited, so much. So have a spiritual body like that. And we are either in this material world with a spiritual body, or we are back to God with a spiritual body, like that. So that's the time where we actually attain complete perfection, attaining that spiritual body. And it is said that spiritual master's body is actually spiritual. That's Diksha Guru, not anyone else. Okay. So great. We'll start with today's session. So we've covered up till Shloka number 24. So up till this point, what we have seen is that how, in the beginning there was preparation for the battle, right? We heard, how Duryodhana was being diplomatic. He was trying to, analyze the opposite army, and then spoke about his army also. Then we spoke about the signs of victory for, the Pandavas. So even with the blowing of the conch shell, or Hanumanji on the flag, the celestial chariot, donated by Agni. So all these different signs of, and Krishna being personally present, of course, on the chariot of Arjuna, along with him, Shri or Lakshmi Devi being present, good fortune. So all these are different signs for victory of the Pandavas. So we saw the signs of, we saw preparation of the battle, signs of victory, and now, basically Arjuna has asked Krishna to draw his chariot in the middle of the armies to see who's come to please the evil minded son of Dhritarashtra. And now there will be bewilderment of Arjuna. So Arjuna will be bewildered in these next shlokas. And then he'll give 5 very, very powerful reasons for not fighting. We've kind of discussed this during the 3 days course also. So we'll see them in detail a little bit here as well. So that's how the entire chapter is divided in these different sections. And this last one is where Arjuna is giving reasons for not fighting. So here, right now, a few shlokas, he'll talk about his bewilderment, and what happens to him seeing his relatives. And then he will start talking about, the different reasons for not fighting. So one very interesting word, rationalization, right? So Arjuna basically rationalize, right? If you just break the word rational and lies, just for the fun of it. So it's basically whenever you do something not not ideal or wrong, the mind tries to rationalize, right? In psychology, it's called as cognitive dissonance, right? So the mind tries to rationalize your own or justify your own actions so that it is in sync with what you ideally think how you should be. So whenever we are put in difficult situations, we try to, and we are not able to do what we're supposed to do, and we make a wrong choice, the mind immediately starts rationalizing. So it's actually rational lies. Right? Anyways, so let's start reading the 25th shloka. Bhishma Drona Pramukhat
भीष्मद्रोण प्रमुखात्
Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam
सर्वेषां च
सर्वेषां
महिषमक्षितम्
Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan
उवाच पार्थ पश्येतान्
Samavetan Kurunniti.
समवेतान् कुरुनिति.
Anyone wants to read the translation? Someone can read the translation? Yeah.
In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, "Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here."
Right. So when Krishna drew up his chariot, and imagine it's a battlefield on both sides. Everyone is ready to fight. They've blown their conch shell, and here Arjuna asked Krishna to take the chariot right in the middle, and the opposite party might think what kind of over smart person this is, coming alone in the middle of the battlefield, right? So and what did Krishna do? He actually purposefully took the chariot of Arjuna right in the middle of the battlefield, especially in front of Bhishma and Drona. And then he says, "Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here." Right? So it's very, very significant that Krishna actually took the chariot between Bhishma and Drona. So Arjuna actually was ready to fight. Arjuna, in fact, asked Krishna to take the chariot in the middle of the army so that he could assess, whom he has to fight against, assess the strength and position of the opposite army. But then Krishna very intelligently took this chariot right in the middle where Bhishma and Drona were there, just to invoke the compassion of Arjuna. And, seeing Bhishma and Drona in front of him, he was completely bewildered. And we'll see how he gets bewildered. And by saying this, right, just behold, all the Kurus assembled here. Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. So this, he's addressing, Arjuna as Partha. Partha is, son of Pritha, right? So basically, he's saying that you are actually the son of my aunt. So Vasudev's sister, right? So Arjuna is son of Vasudev's sister, Kunti, right? So that's how he's related. So Krishna is actually predicting Arjuna's mind that, you are actually son of, my uh, father's sister, and now you're about to give up, the idea of fighting. So he's saying, just behold, all the Kurus assembled here. So here says, the mind of Arjuna was thus predicted by Lord Krishna in friendly joking. And it says, Krishna never expected such a thing from the son of his aunt Pritha. Okay? So he's already predicting that, Arjuna is about to give up the battle, or decide not to fight, and then give so many reasons. Let's do the next one. Tatra pashyat sthitan partha
Tatra pashe sthinan patha
pitran ata pitamahan
pitran
Pitran
pitamahan
acharyan matulan bhratrin.
acharya
Acharyan
matulanatrin.
So acharya is teacher, matula means almost equal to my maternal uncles. Bhratrin is brothers. Putran pautran sakhim tatha
Putra potran sakhis tatha
Shvasuran suridaschaiva
Svashuran suridashcheva
senayorubayorapi.
Senayorapi.
Right. So anyone wants to read the translation?
There Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both the parties, his father, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his father-in-law and well-wishers.
Right. So Arjuna could see all kinds of relatives, and Srila Prabhupada and property provides some of the names, right? So he could see persons like Bhurishrava, who were his father's contemporaries, grandfather Bhishma and Somadatta, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Shailya and Shakuni, brothers like Duryodhan, and sons like Lakshmana, friends like Ashwathama, well-wishers like Tritavarma, etc. And he could see he could also see the armies which contained many of his friends. So like we discussed, it was a world war, and actually before the war, the Pandavas, they I mean they traveled the world in the sense that Maharaj Yudhishthir, he was performing a Rajasuya Yagya.
Hmm.
And in general, Pandavas are very, very famous. Everyone, immediately kind of agreed to, accept, Yudhishthir Maharaj as a Samrat of the whole world. So Rajsuya means that he is the king of the entire planet. And all the other kingdoms, they have to agree. If anyone doesn't agree, then he has to fight. Like that. So, and this yagya requires a lot of wealth also. Lot of wealth. So one of the names of Arjuna is Dhananjaya, because he fetched a lot of wealth for this particular sacrifice. So much of, mountains of gold are required to actually perform such kind of yagya. And it's not an ordinary thing. Only, actual king of the whole world in possessing that kind of wealth can do this. And, one may be able to do one Rajsuya yagya in a lifetime, like that. And not our lifetime, the lifetime of Dwapar Yuga. So, it was not an ordinary thing. So Arjuna, he actually, and therefore the Pandavas, they went in different directions to, get different resources, and, also, ask the kingdoms that if they are willing to accept Yudhishthir Maharaj as the Samrat. If not, then they would fight. So Arjuna had gone, I think, towards the east and northeast side. Then Bhima and Nakul and Sahadev. I think one of them, Nakul or Sahadev, went to the south. So they all went in different directions. To actually enroll, in one sense, different kingdoms, to the idea that Yudhishthir Maharaj is going to be the Samrat of the entire world. So in this process, although they were already they were very, very famous all across the globe, and there were many who already kind of agreed, but there was some resistance in some places, so different battles were fought, short ones, and a lot of marriages happen in the course of time as well when they were out like this in different areas. And the different kings welcomed them, some kind of gave resistance, so they were kind of chastised. So like that, it's a very, very detailed description in Mahabharata, how all of this happened. So therefore Arjuna could see so many friends, and it was a world where everyone had assembled. So he could see so many friends, right? Like the last line said, he could see also the armies which contained many of his friends. Right? Okay, let's move ahead. Tan samikshya sa kaunteya
तान् समीक्ष्य स कौन्तेय
bandhun avasthitan sarvan
Sarvan
bandhun avasthitan
Sarvan
सर्वान्
Bandhun
बन्धून्
Avasthitan
अवस्थितान्
कृपया परयाविष्टो
कृपया
Paraya Vishto
विषिधन् इदम् अब्रवीत्.
विषिदनिद्धं ब्रवीत्.
Yes, someone wants to read the translation.
May I?
Yes.
When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus.
So we'll see even in the next verse how it was very, very natural for Arjuna to be compassionate. A devotee of the Lord is very, very is naturally very compassionate, friendly, and obviously seeing all of them and understanding that so many of his friends and relatives are going to die, he felt natural compassion. So let's see the next verse. Arjuna vacha
अर्जुन वाच
दृष्ट्वेमं स्वजन्म कृष्ण
दृष्टिमेव
Janam
सर्वजन कृष्ण
Krishna
युत्सुं समुपस्थितं
Yutsum Samupastitam
सिद्धन्ति माम गात्राणि
Siddhanti mama
Dhanti Mama Ghatrani
मुखं च परिशुष्यति.
Shukam Cha Parishushati.
Yes, anyone wants to read the translation?
So shall I?
Yes, please.
Arjun said, "My dear Krishna, see my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit. I feel limbs of my bodies quivering and my mouth drying up.
Yes. It's very, very significant, right? And Sri Prabhupada also kind of starts this purport saying that any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all good qualities which are found in godly persons or in demigods. Whereas a non devotees, however advanced he may be in material qualification, by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. So here, Arjuna, being a devotee, naturally, is feeling that compassion, and there are symptoms in his body, which is, his limbs quivering, his mouth drying up. In fact, it will be safe to say that he was also crying, right? So because practically the whole community was there, all the relatives were present before him, and he knew, practically all of them are going to die. So obviously he was feeling all that compassion, and Sri Prabhupada describes in the purport that uh, it's a devotee. He has naturally all these qualities present in him, whereas a materialist, no matter how well qualified he is in education or culture, lacks in such godly qualities. Now, one may argue that no, even I see so many people around who are also very, very compassionate, who are also so charitable, so they have these godly qualities. So people may exhibit all these qualities, compassion, and some are genuinely very compassionate as well. But like we spoke of choice yesterday. So oftentimes when we are faced with a difficult situation, we want to run away, and otherwise we are faced with a situation where we have to choose principles over pleasure. right? One side is principles, the other side is pleasure or comfort. So I think 99% of all of us, right? I don't know, or maybe more, we typically choose, uh, pleasure over principles. And therefore, we are in a soup most of the times. And therefore, we can say that safely because we are still struggling, trying to control our mind. There are many who have control over the mind, not saying that everybody is like that. But yeah, at least the majority of us are struggling to control our mind. So, and why? Because we always choose pleasure over principles, and the result is that we may enjoy for a limited period of time in the beginning, but the end is always not so good. So Arjuna here is exhibiting soft-heartedness, right? He's exhibiting compassion. So these are godly qualities, and it says godly qualities are actually naturally found in devotees. Why? Because they will always choose principles over pleasure. And we'll see going ahead how Arjuna kind of talks about it's better for me to die rather than trying to kill them, which means that he is ready to give up his life for standing on the principle of compassion, which is a higher principle. Whereas that's not common among general people. If there is a question of somebody's life, give up your life or show compassion. Show if you show compassion, you will give up your life, or you can choose the path of pleasure and maintain your life. So obviously we'll definitely jump to the option that okay, there is pleasure also, there is maintenance of life also. Right? We will in a heartbeat take that option or path, right? But we see here how Arjuna is displaying genuine compassion, that he's ready to he's willing to die also to stand on that principle of compassion. So Prabhupada also says such symptoms in Arjuna are not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness as a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. And he quotes Yasyati Bhakti Bhagavati Akinchana. He's saying, one who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead, all good qualities of the demigods, has all the good qualities of demigods. But one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualification that are of little value. So even if somebody is doing his duties perfectly, material duties perfectly, even if somebody is having all kinds of material qualification, that is of little value, because at the end of the day, he's not moving ahead towards the purpose of life, nor is he helping anyone else. So it says this is because he's hovering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by glaring material energy, right? So this is where we are talking about choosing pleasure. uh, I think there is a famous quote. Let me recollect it, and somebody can correct me if I go wrong in that. uh, I think decency, or I don't know, I'm not remembering the word, but something like this: decency is a lack of opportunity. Right? So that's like a famous saying. I'm not sure if decency is the right word or something else. So it's basically lack of opportunity. So you find people are, very well behaved and of character, but the minute the right kind of attraction is put in front of them, because they're hovering over a mental plane, they don't have spiritual rooting. Immediately they will give up the path of principles and hop on to the path of pleasure. We are all pleasure seekers in one sense, right? Any thoughts till now? Any thoughts or reflections?
I just have a question.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense, but still I want to clarify it. Arjun, being such a elevated person, he knew that there's victory for him, right? Because Lord Krishna is there by his side, or he was not aware of that.
So very interesting. And I think we will also touch upon that later, but I'll just say it right away. So Arjuna, he's a pure devotee. How he can be bewildered, right? And okay, let's do this last piece, and then because this is the last shloka where he talks about his bewilderment. No, not the last, the second last actually. Okay, I'll just answer your question. So Arjuna is actually put into illusion for our benefit. Arjuna is actually a pure devotee of the Lord, and there is no question of him being bewildered or him doubting Krishna, or him, being confused. So Arjuna is actually a pure devotee, but Krishna has purpose, and he was ready to fight when he said, "Take my chariot in the middle of the armies." But then it is Krishna who purposefully put him in this kind of situation, in this stressful situation, and we can see he's so stressed. He's saying here, my whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hands, and my skin is burning. We'll read this one as well. So he's saying all of this. He's been put into this situation by Krishna. Why is Krishna doing this? So I think कौन सा ad आता था? सर्फ का ad आता है. सर्फ का ad दिखा है सबने? I think Surf or Ariel, someone started this. So they will have, two shirts, pure white, shining shirts, and then they will keep it and put some dust on it, put some sauces on it, put some achar on it, all haldi on it, all kinds of things they'll put, and then they'll show how dirty this cloth is now, both these pieces, and then they will dip it in two different buckets, with different soaps, and then you'll say Surf Excel, completely pure white. That they will advertise like that. So Krishna is actually doing advertisement through Arjuna. He's like, here Arjuna, so pure, nice and white, shining bright personality, right?
Yeah.
So qualified. Put him in a stressful situation where he has to, go through so many troubles, trials and tribulations, have so many attempts on his life, be in a situation where he has to see his wife being insulted, be in a situation where he has to kill his grandfather, teacher, family members, right? So all that on that shirt, right? And then Krishna uses the washing powder of Bhagavad Gita,
Bhagavad
cleanses the
Gita.
shirt, cleanses the shirt, and then shows, see, shining white again. So that's actually advertisement for us. We are also troubled by so many things, right? And we are always under a stress, in a stressful situation, faced with so many choices, so much confusion, right? So Krishna is
Yeah.
advertising, and we should also wash our minds and heart in the soap of Bhagavad Gita, and we'll also come out shining bright. So that's the reason he's putting Arjuna purposely in this difficult situation. In fact, so there was when Pandu died, and Dhritarashtra was ruling, and Bhishma Pitama was not intervening directly. He wanted to play a role where he doesn't want to take any decisions because he's taken a vow to serve the throne, and he would in no way try to influence or exert his rights as a grandfather, also, or in any way claim anything in terms of the functioning of the kingdom. He would advise, but he would not try to exert his position and influence any decision like that. Influence his decision in way of suggestion, but not otherwise. So that was grandfather Bhishma. So although he was a great leader, but he was incapacitated, or he was not, basically not willing at that point in time. He was not willing to take the leadership role. Dhritarashtra was a leader, but he was blind. He was leader by position. He was sitting in the throne, but he was blind, right? So blind leader. Vidura was also a leader, but he was not given any position. He was not given any empowerment. So Vidura, although he tried so many times to advise the king in the right way, he also objected, at different points against what the decision was. but he was not empowered at all. Empowered in the sense that he was not heard or not given a say, or even if he said something, it was as if not considered. So therefore, he was not empowered. So therefore, he could not lead. So there was a leadership crisis, which everyone recognized that there's a leadership crisis and someone needs to take over. So two personalities were called, or rather, two personalities came. Right, one was Shakuni, who came, and the other was Krishna. So Shakuni, he basically took the charge of all these Kauravas, and Krishna, he took the charge of Pandavas. So Shakuni's style of leadership is kangaroo style of leadership, and Krishna, he displayed eagle type of leadership. So what is eagle type and what is kangaroo type? What does kangaroo do? Can anyone guess what is kangaroo style of leadership? What does kangaroo do to its dependents, children?
He carries them in their pouch.
Yes. So kangaroo style of leadership, carrying in the pouch. So Shakuni was always, doing everything for Duryodhana, and not just like suggesting and letting him do and perform himself, but he was trying to do everything for him. And from the time Shakuni came, there was not a single battle the Kauravas won. Not a single battle did they win. Because and what did Shakuni do? Kangaroo style of leadership. He was saying he was actually trying to defame the opposite party, and in the name of boosting morale, he was just trying to throw unwanted praise, not even unwanted actually. So false praises at how great the Kauravas are, and create this jealousy and false competition, and going to any extent to win, even through illegitimate means. So this is what Shakuni did in terms of leadership. On the other side, Krishna, he displayed the eagle type of leadership. So he actually threw Pandavas in the midst of difficulties, letting them come out of it on their own. He was instructing them at the right points, giving them support at the right points. He was always there to protect them. Not that, oh, somebody's attacking, I will take the sword and fight your battle for you. But he was protecting them by being in presence, being present before them, and by good instruction, he was instructing them, and thereby every battle from there on, even before actually, because they are pure devotees, but every battle they won, when Krishna came in. So you can see a stark contrast between these two kinds of leadership. Right? And here also Krishna is purposely putting Arjuna in this condition, in this difficult situation, like I said, so that we can learn how to come out of such situations in our life through the example of Arjuna. So let's read this. Vepatuscha sharire me
Vetuscha sharire me
Roma harsha Romaharshascha ajayate. Sorry.
रोमहर्षा जजायते
Gandivam Shrama Hastat
गान्धिवं श्रमस्ते अस्तात्
Tvakchaiva Paridhayate.
त्वच्च परिधायते.
So he's saying, my whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. So this slipping of Gandiva is extremely significant, right? So Gandiva is the famous celestial bow that was given to Arjuna, and he had taken a vow. Anyone who asks me to keep my Gandiva aside, I'll kill him. He was always holding that Gandiva bow. So that was his vow. And in fact, once Yudhishthir Maharaj, when even just during the battlefield of Kurukshetra only, he was very badly wounded, and Arjuna, he realized that Yudhishthir Maharaj is badly wounded. Immediately he left the battlefield. It was still daytime, and because he was badly wounded, he was carried to a tent to be given first aid. And Arjuna, he heard that Yudhishthira Maharaj is badly wounded by Karna, so he immediately left the battlefield to see his brother. And as soon as Arjuna entered the tent, Yudhishthira Maharaj was so happy, saying, "Oh, you've actually finished Karna. You've taken my revenge," like that. And immediately Arjuna said, "No, no, hold on. I am here because I heard the news that you've been badly wounded." So Yudhishthira Maharaj felt very disappointed, and he chastised Arjuna. And in his chastisement, he said, you're, what kind of fighter you are? You're just big words. People are just glorifying you, falsely. You should give up your Gandiva. So Arjuna had taken a vow: anyone who asks him to give up the Gandiva, he'll kill him. So now he was ready to kill Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? Because he has to fulfill his vow. So Lord Krishna had to come in, like, hold on, wait, right? Uh, I know you have a vow, but let's not do this. And he then devised a way how to, fulfill the promise as well, and not kill Yudhishthira Maharaj. So he said that for a respectable man, insult is as good as death. So he then asked Arjuna, "You can now throw all kinds of insults on Yudhishthira Maharaj, and thereby you'll kill him." So that was the only way out. And Arjuna then started insulting. He spoke of so many things and how he was the one responsible, for losing everything in the gambling match, and insult of Draupadi, and so many insults he hurled at Yudhishthira Maharaj. And as soon as he was done, he immediately fell at his feet because he understood all that he had spoken. And we already know what we have heard in power of words. So there were very, very sharp words thrown at him. So that's the significance of Arjuna holding the Gandiva. And here we can imagine what stressful situation he must be in, that he's saying my bow is slipping from my hand. It's not an ordinary thing. And he's saying my skin is burning. Have you ever felt a phenomena that your skin is burning? So it is such a condition. Entire body, is also reacting to the kind of anxiety we are or stress we are in, and the whole body feels like as if it's burning. So you can imagine the state of his mind. न च शक्नोमि अवस्थातुं
न च
स्वस्ति अवस्थातु
ब्रह्मतीवा च मे मनः
ब्रह्मदेवा च वेदः
निमित्तानि च पश्यामि
वेदानि च पश्यामि
विपरीतानि केशव.
Paritani Keshava.
Anyone wants to read the translation?
Can I read?
Yes, please.
I am now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune. O Krishna, killer of the Kesi demon.
Right. So Arjuna was losing his mental equilibrium. He's saying, I am unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. And I see only cause of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kesi demon. So he was actually seeing a lose-lose situation, right? Nimittani viparitani. So he's saying ki we are here to have victory and enjoy, but I see only painful reverses. Right? It's just the opposite of what we desire. So he's only seeing, he's so despondent that he sees only darkness ahead. Right? He's in such a situation that he's only seeing darkness ahead. There's nothing good that he can see. Right? Have you ever been in such a situation?
Yeah.
No, Prabhuji. Till now, no.
very,
Touch wood by
very good.
by Krishna's grace.
Yeah, that's very good. You are very fortunate.
No,
So
I guess I just felt when you said that Lord Krishna deliberately put Arjuna in the middle of that center of the battlefield where he could see his own relatives.
Hmm.
Deliberately he did that. So I mean, now I'm feeling that he must be deliberately doing this with us also.
Yes, he does.
And so he deliberately put us in the situation where there are two roads and he left on us to make a choice, and which is so exhausting sometimes, because sometimes either both are bad or both are good, or one are bad or one is good. So
Interesting.
I can now feel that he's doing it deliberately to create that illusion so that I can come out on my own and see what real world and what real self is. Oh
So,
God.
so that is a fair possibility. There's a fair possibility. And for people who are on even on the path of self-realization, Krishna does that. He gives us suffering, that kind of suffering which will help us, rise above a certain block in our path of self-realization. So when till the time one is not even starting to practice Krishna consciousness, our account is in the hands of Maya Devi or Durga Devi. So Durga, as the name suggests, Durg means fortress, and Durga is the guardian of that fortress, right? So and she's having Trishul trident that's with 3 points. 3 points are nothing but Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun, three modes of material nature. So anyone doing anything, good or bad. So there is tit for tat. If you do good, okay, you get the good. If you do bad, there is bad. And to the degree you've done bad, to that degree you receive it back. So in the hands of Durga Devi, the the formula is tit for tat. But as soon as one even begins little bit with the process of Krishna consciousness, Krishna takes charge personally. And he understands, okay, this person is trying to come to me, so let me give him the association, the understanding, the realization, so that he can come to me quickly. And in the process, he understands that there are so many blocks or knots in the heart,
Yeah.
right? Knots in the heart which are so strong, which cannot be just opened with your hands. It has to be cut. You get these, sometimes you tie so strong knots that even no matter how much you try to open them, it's not possible.
Yeah.
In those situations, you have to cut. Correct. So
Yeah.
the knots which are easily opened, which means that two things which we easily agree, "Haan, theek hai, these are the rules I'll follow. I won't get into these things which are not good for me." But there are certain blocks we are unable to give up, right? A certain roadblocks in the heart, or knots in the heart, we are unable to overcome. So at that point in time, Krishna has to cut those, and which is a painful experience. But Krishna does that so that we can overcome that particular, you know, bad attitude, bad behavior, whatever that is, so that we change. He gives us, suffering from
Yeah.
the, overall account of what we deserve already. So there is an overall account of, like Mount Sumeru, to that degree, that sinful reactions are there. Krishna
Yeah.
specifically picks up one and gives. It's like, medicine given by the hands of a very, very expert doctor. So he picks out the medicine. Okay, this suffering is necessary right now for him to advance and move to the next rung in the ladder, or next step in the path. So he gives that suffering as a medicine. And when we go through it, if we still maintain the right attitude, we'll come out of it, even more mature.
So, one question: when you explained about Durga and her Trishul, and you said this is like good, you do good, good comes to you; you do bad, bad comes to you. Tit for tat. So, for example, in this life, if I have not done anything bad, but in the previous life I must have done something, so I am suffering right now. Am I right? Like
Correct.
how even Bhishma, when he was on throne, bed, deathbed,
Yes.
past he did one mistake, only one, about the snake. He threw snake in the throne, and later he got that punishment when
Yes.
Krishna asked him to realize about the past life.
Hmm.
So I was imagining he went through so many lives to come to that event about the snake. So it is true to us as well, is it?
So this is where I was wanted to come to the second part of answering to your question, and you kind of also touched upon Vishmadev. So the second part of the answer, and therefore I said yes, that could be a possibility. That could be a possibility. One of the possibilities that Krishna is purposely doing such things in your life, and I gave you the reason. The
Hmm.
second part is, so there is suffering in devotee's life. Okay, it's not that once you become
In
devotee,
all devotees life.
yeah, just like in everybody's life, dukhalaya ashashvatam, every living entity is going through suffering. Krishna designed the world as dukhalayam ashashvatam. It's a place of misery, right? Dukhalaya means where you find misery, just like vidyalaya where you find vidya. Dukhalaya is where you find dukkha, right? So dukhalaya ashashvatam, and it's temporary. So Krishna has created this world in a way that it's temporary and it's miserable, right? So everyone is going through suffering or misery. So even a devotee, not that I come to Krishna consciousness, so I should be free from all sufferings. No, suffering will come, but and that is also as per your karma, and that too Krishna reduces it. If my hand was supposed to be cut, I'll just get a scratch. So Krishna
Okay.
reduces that suffering also once somebody
Hmm.
starts performing devotional service. So
Yeah.
suffering will come, but
Yeah.
suffering comes to a neophyte devotee, or a practicing devotee, somebody who's trying to become Krishna conscious on account of his own karma for purification. So Krishna gives suffering for purification. In the case of a pure devotee, Krishna gives suffering for glorification.
Hmm.
Like the Pandavas went through so much trials and tribulations. It's
Yeah.
suffering, it's heavy amount of suffering. We won't be able to survive even 1% of that.
Yeah.
Things they went through, right? But Krishna is making them go through for glorification. That look, my devotees are so glorious, even, and to set an example. Like I said, he's putting Arjuna in this situation to set an example for us so that we learn. Similarly, he's setting the example through the example of Pandavas, through the example of Bhishma Pitama. Bhishma Pitama is also a pure devotee of the Lord.
Yeah.
Sir, I got the answer. I too went through some situation.
Hmm.
The answer I got today.
Okay.
I was
Very good. Yeah, that's why sometimes you have aha moments, and I really want to express. Like, I was getting goosebumps when I was talking.
I was telling God only, I left with you. I want to do this. I want to be with the Bhagavad Gita. And any paths are like, means it is, I'm really feeling happy.
Great, great.
I
So,
mean,
uh,
once I got like suffered from one, like, uh, I got my answer, sir.
okay, great. Uh,
Great.
a lot of times, we are unable to see
Hmm.
the Lord's plan. Immediately we see, there is suffering, right? And we are unable to see the bigger picture, which only Krishna can see. At that time, we may be praying so fervently, Krishna, please get me out of this situation.
Yeah.
But Krishna knows that this is required for you, right? The gold has to, go into fire to become completely pure.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So sometimes those things are required, and therefore we may feel Krishna is not listening. But at the end of the day, Krishna is seeing the bigger picture, and he is giving that. We should understand that it's actually sanctioned by Krishna, and
So
we
we
should
should
then
not curse the person or curse that means
Situation.
situation. It happened because of God, right? Means we should not cry for that situation.
yes, and that's how a devotee understands suffering. He takes it
Hmm.
as a mercy of the Lord. He understands, and this is given in Bhagavatam. I'm forgetting
I
the.
I did the same in that situation, sir. So I guess I'm means
So
I cried. I said, "No, God will help me." So
yeah, so how a devotee, his attitude towards suffering is that it's basically the mercy of the Lord. I was supposed to suffer so much because of my karma, but the Lord has so kindly reduced it, and that's one. And the second part is that Krishna is giving me this for my own purification. It is actually a mercy of the Lord. I am unable to see it now, but definitely this is mercy of the Lord, and Krishna has bigger plan. And he doesn't curse the medium, because someone has to be the medium to give you
yes,
that suffering.
yes,
So he is not having ill feelings towards them. So like Jesus Christ said, curse the sin, not the sinner, right? Or
Yeah.
yeah. So it's basically the demoniac attitude, which is problematic, not the person. That's what he was trying to say. So here also we should understand, as practicing devotees also, that whatever I'm suffering, it's because of my own past karma, and by grace of Krishna, it has been reduced, and this has been sanctioned by the Lord, so that I overcome a roadblock in my heart, which will help me bring about a change in my attitude or my behavior, something which was not conducive. I'll be able to overcome it. With this attitude, if we approach our problems, you have so Krishna consciousness doesn't give you complete relief from all the miseries will be there, but
Hmm.
you have a choice to suffer in that misery or not, right? So that choice
Yeah.
is basically that, oh, I am in such terrible condition, I am victim, and cry over it. Or you can think, okay, I'm in this situation, this is due to my past karma, so that the mind is peaceful. Otherwise, people keep asking questions, why me? Mere se
Hmm.
nahi tha,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And just think of, so there is a acronym BMW, right? People do BMW, which is blame, moan,
Hmm.
and weep,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? I'll blame someone, I'll moan about, oh, aisa ho gaya, waisa ho gaya, and I'll weep. So instead of having BMW car, one should have CID. So CID is like W actually. So what can I do now?
What can I do now?
So that's CID. Can I do now? So what can I
Hmm.
do now? Instead of crying over the past, right? Or cursing someone कि इसकी वजह से हुआ, right? One should simply think, okay, I'm in this situation. What can I do now?
Yeah.
That is a solution mentality versus, you know, being part of the
Victim.
problem
Victim.
mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what Krishna is actually putting Arjuna in such a situation, and Arjuna is experiencing so many of these things, right? He's losing his equilibrium and seeing only darkness in front of him. He's saying that his victory in the battle would only be cause of lamentation for him. Natashreyo anupashyami
Atashreyo
anupashyami
Anupashyami
hatva swajanma ave
hatva
Hatva
swajanam
osanma ari.
na kangshe vijayam Krishna
kangshe vijay
Nakanshe Vijay
Nakangshe
Krishna.
na cha rajyam sukhani cha.
ragyam sukhani cha.
Anyone wants to read the translation? Someone can read the translation?
Should I read?
Yes, please.
I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen. in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness.
So, like I said, lose-lose situation, and he's saying, I cannot see any good coming out of this battle, and I cannot desire any victory also. So, what should I do? Right? Like you said, apparently both, very terrible situations. And later on, so don't ask me the answers to this right now, because later on, the second chapter, when we read, Krishna will describe how the situation is both win-win, completely opposite of what Arjuna is saying here. When Krishna starts answering, so we have not started with the questions which reasons which Arjuna gives for not fighting. When Krishna starts answering those, Krishna is describing the situation as win-win, and here it's completely opposite, lose-lose, right? And therefore he's saying, I'm not interested in fighting because I'm not interested in winning any kingdom. And here we also see how, he's not choosing pleasure, he's choosing the path of principle. He's not choosing pleasure. And he's saying it's better for me to go in the forest and beg. Kshatriyas actually cannot beg. I think we
Yeah.
discussed that. But he's ready to do that over killing his own kinsmen in the battle and enjoying a kingdom. So we can see how a devotee, he doesn't care for his personal happiness or pleasure. He's always concerned about others and showing compassion. But again, this is also like Srila Prabhupada describes, in one sense, and specifically because Arjuna is put in this situation of bewilderment by Krishna. This is also representative of attachment to bodily relationships. In one sense,
Yeah.
right?
So I have one question.
Yeah.
If Arjuna is thinking so much because they are his relatives, and
What do we think?
Krishna
Huh.
Krishna is trying to make an example or set an example for everybody to understand through Arjuna, why Krishna is not telling him to forgive everybody?
Okay. So, and that is something we will discuss in the
Okay.
coming slokas,
Okay.
where Krishna describes where there is Atitayi ke upar discussion and 6 kind of aggressors, right?
Okay.
So it's not and very very valid point. In fact, that is something which is described in the following verses in the purport also, that Krishna, he is not asking him to forgive, because Krishna can actually forgive anything on his own account.
Yeah.
If someone insulted or did any offense towards Krishna, someone can just chant Krishna's name and Krishna will forgive him immediately. But anyone who does offense towards the devotees of the Lord,
Oh.
Krishna will not forgive. So he is not bound
Uh,
to let anyone go.
I understood. I understood. So amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So and here, Srila Prabhupada is giving the example just as a person who does not feel hungry is not inclined to cook. So therefore, similarly, Arjuna is not desiring any of these kingdoms and happiness over the lives of his kinsmen. So he's not
Hmm.
willing to fight.
Hmm.
Okay, let's see the next following ones, which we just discussed. Right? Kim no rajyena govinda
Kim no Rajena Govinda.
kim bhogair jivitena va
Kim
Kimbhoge
Bodhaya Jivanete
jivatena
Nama.
yesham arthe kangshitam no
Yesham
Yeshamarte
Arde Kanchikam
kanchikam no
Ko.
no not go no
No, okay, no.
Rajyam bhoga sukhani cha
Rajyam
Rajyam
Bhoga
bhoga
Sukhani
sukhani
Cha.
cha
ta ime avastita yudhe
ta imeva
Ye
avastita
Avasthana
yudhe
Yuddhe.
pranam tyaktva dhanani cha
pranam
Pranam
tyaktva dhanani cha
Anadicha.
acharya pitara putras
acharya
Acharya
pitara
Pitra
putras
Putras.
tathaiva cha pitamaha
tathaiva
Tataiv
cha
Cha
pitamaha
Pitamaha.
matula swasura putra
matula
Matula
sarasura
Sarasva Putra.
putra
shala shala sambandhinas tatha
शाला
सम्बन्धिनस्तथा
सम्बन्धिनस्तथा
एतान् न हन्तुम् इच्छामि
एतान्नहुम् इच्छामि
नात्नोऽपि मधुसूदन
ज्ञातोऽपि मधुसूदन
अपि त्रैलोक्य राजस्य
त्रैलोक्यराजस्य
हेतो किं नो मही कृते
हेतो किं नो मही कृते
निहत्य धार्तराष्ट्राणाम्
निहतराष्ट्राणां
का का प्रीति स्या जनार्दन
का प्रीतिस्या जनार्दन.
Okay. Anyone wants to read the translations?
May I?
Yes, please go ahead.
O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arid on this battlefield? O Madhusudan, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, father-in-law, grandsons, brother-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra?
Okay. So here Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Govinda because what is the meaning of Govinda? Anyone?
The one who
protects
gives
the cows.
Yes, it's also there in the purport first line actually. So one who gives pleasure to the cows and the senses. So he's addressing Krishna as Govinda. That you are someone who gives pleasure to the cows and the senses. So why are you talking, completely opposite, which is not satisfying my senses? And Sri Prabhupada goes on to describe in the purport that it's not that Krishna should satisfy our senses, but rather we should serve Krishna to satisfy Krishna's senses, and then automatically we'll be satisfied, right? So therefore the word or addressing him as Govinda is very significant. And he gave the first reason in the previous shlokas as compassion, right? So Arjuna's first immediate reason for not fighting was compassion, and this is the second reason where he's describing of what avail to us our kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all of those for whom we may desire them are now arid on the battlefield, right? And then he gives, oh Madhusudana, he again addresses him as Madhusudana. Madhusudan is killer of the demon Madhu, right? So he's also trying to, indicate that, oh, you may have killed, a demon named Madhu, but here in the battlefield, there are people who are my teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles. You're asking me to kill them. They are not demons, right? So therefore, oh Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, uncles, father-in-laws, etc., are ready to give up their lives and properties are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though otherwise they may kill me? Like that. O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in the exchange of three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? So here, the second reason comes in the forefront, which is no enjoyment, right? First reason was compassion. Second reason is, we are doing this for happiness, but we are going to destroy all of them with whom we might share this happiness and feel happy. वो सभी लोग मर जाएंगे तो how can we be happy, right? What pleasure will we derive actually? So that's the second reason Arjuna is quoting here, that no enjoyment. Right? Okay. Let's move a little faster. We are on 36. I want to finish at till 40. Papam evashrayed asman
पापमेवाश्रयेदास्मा
hatvaitan atataina
Atvaitan Atatayinan
tasman narha vayam hantum
तस्मान्नाहवयहन्तु
dhartarastran sabandhavan
धातराष्ट्रा स्वभावान्.
Swajanma hi katam hatva
Swajan hi katha hatva
Sukhina Shama Madhava
Sukhina rasa madhava
Shama Madhava.
Shama
Shama
Madhava.
madhava.
Okay. Anyone wants to read the translation?
Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? How could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen?
Right. So this is the shloka where the whole discussion about aggressors and why Krishna is not asking him to forgive comes into picture in the purport. So, and this is the third reason which Arjuna gives. First reason was compassion. Second reason was no enjoyment. This is the third reason that sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Right? There were 64 crore people, on the battlefield. They will all die. So much sin, so much killing, so much sin. Even if they are aggressors, Arjuna is saying, right? But why should we kill them? Therefore, it's not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain? O Krishna, husband of goddess of fortune. So this address to Krishna is Madhava. Madhava means husband of goddess of fortune. So he's indicating that you are supposed to bring good fortune, right? You're supposed to put people on the path of fortune. But if you're asking me to fight, then you're actually putting me on the path of misfortune and sin, like that. And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada describes, according to Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kind of aggressors. First one is a poison giver. Second one who sets fire to the house, someone who attacks with deadly weapon, one who plunders the riches, one who occupies another's land, and one who kidnaps someone's wife. So these are 6 aggressors according to Shastra, right? They can be retaliated against, and one can at once kill such an aggressor, right? So according to scriptures, Arjuna could have easily gone ahead and killed these aggressors, right? And Arjuna was not an ordinary person; he was saintly. So he wanted to deal with all of them in a saintly manner, and therefore he was taking the higher principle of compassion, applying it here, saying that even if they are aggressors, even if the scripture agrees to kill them, but still we should show compassion, because compassion is a higher principle, right? Very, very powerful argument, isn't it? He's quoting from scriptures only, giving the higher principle within scriptures, that yes, this is allowed to kill, but still taking the higher moral ground of compassion, we should not kill them, right?
Shama.
Shama is one of the
Hmm.
principles. And
Hmm.
here Prabhupada gives the example of Lord Ram. So Lord Ram was so saintly that people even now are anxious to live in the kingdom of Lord Ram. But Ram Rajya, but Lord Ram never showed any cowardice. Ravana was an aggressor against Ram because Ravana kidnapped his wife Sita, but Ram gave him sufficient lessons, unparalleled in history of the world. Lord Ram gave enough opportunity to Ravana to surrender and return Sita Maya.
Hmm.
So many times, even Lord Shiva, Ravana was begging for Shiva's help, and Shiva said, "I will help you, and my help is return Sita Maya to Lord Ram," as an advice, right? But he did not heed that advice. Hanuman went, did not heed that advice either, right? So many opportunities were given to Ravana, and there was a point where Vibhishan, right? He had come to surrender. So everyone was doubtful, but Hanuman said, "Ki, nahi, nahi, he's your great devotee," and since he surrendered, right? Uh, Lord Ram had promised that he will make Vibhishan the king of Lanka. So then, and he said, anyone who surrenders and comes to my shelter, I will protect him. I will give him whatever. So and he had given Ravana so many opportunities to do that. So I don't know who was that, but somebody asked if what if Ravana surrenders You already promised the kingdom to Vibhishan. What will you do with Ravana? So we'll say, oh, I'll make him the king of Ayodhya. Then what about Bharat? Right? So then he said, I will personally become his servant and serve him like that. So Lord Ram basically was willing to fulfill anyone's desire and put them on a pedestal if they surrendered to him. Lord Ram, when he used to walk in the forest, right, there were many thorns that were pricking him in his lotus feet. And at night, when once Mother Sita noticed that and she cried in pain, there's so many thorns in my Lord's feet. And he plucked out one of the thorns. She plucked out one of the thorns. And immediately the Lord got up in such great anxiety, took that thorn from the hands of Mother Sita and put it back. It's like they have taken shelter of my feet. How can I reject them? So, yeah. So even such a personality, such a benevolent personality, he punished the aggressor Ravana. So, Arjuna, he's showing compassion, yes, but it's misplaced compassion. Like that. And like I said, Krishna is in no mood to forgive anyone who, does anything against his devotees. So when Krishna is directing, we should just follow. Okay, it's already 12:33. Okay, let's do these later on. I would want some time for questions and reflections. So we'll next time we'll do from 37 onwards. So any questions, any reflections till now? Yes, anyone?
I have an experience I want to just talk on. That every suffering that comes my way, it just takes me an inch closer to Krishna. And I've experienced that day by day. Every small thing or big thing, anything happens, any suffering that comes, um, any rudeness from anyone, anything, it just makes me realize that it's just taking me closer and closer to Krishna. And as that is what we discussed some time back. So I wanted to just put in my experience.
Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. In fact, you just reminded me of one very very great disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So Her Grace Haladini Mataji. So she basically, there's a book, I think, Legacy of Love. Yes, Legacy of Love. It's a very wonderful book, written by another devotee on the life of Haladini Mataji, and she was, a real great and pure devotee. So there she was describing that how, Haladini Mataji, she was serving Lord Jagannath Baldev Subhadra in West Virginia in one of the, in the farm of West Virginia in one of the mountains. And she was practically living alone on top of that hill and serving the deities. And many initially there were a lot of devotees who were helping, etc. And there was temple being maintained at that point in time, so there was other devotees who were also serving along, and she was one of them. She was not that she was in charge, she was just one of them. So anyone who would come up, sometimes in the kitchen, she was cutting vegetables, and the station of the kitchen is slightly unclean. So she was describing how sometimes someone would say, oh, please, keep it nicely. Very politely, they would say, keep it nicely. And some other times, it would be, said in a very, very rude manner. Oh, you're keeping the station unclean. Hare Krishna, everyone's there. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Sorry, there was a power cut in my area, so my internet just went off. Okay, I was
That's what Prabhuji mentioned.
yeah. So I was describing about Haladini and how she would show by her own example that if someone comes and tells her while she's cooking for the Lord in the DT kitchen that the station is unclean, please clean it. Or some other time someone would come and very rudely yell at her, you know don't you understand you have to keep the station clean while you're cooking for the Lord. So how she took it that, and she says, get the message, right? The message by Krishna is keep the station clean. Don't worry about the mode in which it is said. Don't worry about the mode of, if it's said in the mode of goodness very politely, or if it's said in the mode of ignorance with somebody yelling at you. So focus on the message that Krishna is conveying. Forget the mode.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And probably in the starting of my devotion and my seva, as you said, Krishna puts a lot of hurdles and he makes us go through a lot of tests, and like we need to jump over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that exactly had happened in 2015 and 16. I could recollect that memory again. Of course I have come over it now, but as when you spoke, like we have a memory, so I just remembered again that it was a very bitter experience I had, but it made me learn a lot of things. As you said, we mature with our experiences, so it doesn't make me, it has not made me bitter, but I have learned that this can also happen, like in your path of devotion, even from your fellow devotees, or be it anyone, because as you said, it is our past karmas, so we have to take it gracefully.
And one devotee was describing very beautifully that you know when we go through our life, and especially when we are on path of Krishna consciousness, and when we go through our life, and when we look back, right, we won't trade it with anybody. We won't trade our lives for anything else, because then we realize that yes, this was so perfect. Krishna literally handpicked things and put it exactly where I needed them.
Yes, that's perfect. Yes.
So
And
you
it
won't
is like
trade that
it is
with
always planned. We come to know when we look at it, when we go rewind, when we rewind and we see our life.
yeah.
That time maybe we are crying, but now when we realize it, we come to know that all this was actually put in place at the exact time, exact place, by the exact people whom Krishna wanted, and that is why we are here today.
Perfect. So thank you for sharing. Any other thoughts or reflections or any questions till this point?
Hi, this is Preeti.
Yes.
So I have a question. First of all, I just want to compliment you. So I've been attending all the classes more or less, speaking for the first time.
Oh,
So you're doing, you're really helping us to understand, because I think Gita is a very vast subject. So thank you for doing it so brilliantly.
thank you for tolerating and sticking around.
No, and I decided, I said, whatever may happen, I'll attend all the classes, whether I say something or not, but I'm absolutely there. So, while we are going through, and I understand, but I just had a question, and I want to share a little background. So, as all of us are longing for so many things, and I'm sure all of us would have gone through many workshops in terms of spiritual workshops. So similar with me, I've attended a lot of programs. And my concern is that I'm still struggling with the how part of it. So, while I absolutely agree with what Gita says or any other spiritual workshops I've attended, so I've always understood the what part, which is conceptual, theoretical. But what is my challenge is that when it comes to the application part of it, I still struggle. Okay. So just to give you an example, the last workshop I attended from some yoga institute, my eternal question of attending that workshop was that how do I, let's say, change a simple habit, which is that I lack discipline. So for example, I love yoga. I want to do it every day. But I have this challenge. I'll do it for few days and then, I kind of fall back. Then I do it. So sometimes I feel frustrated in the process, that what can help me to, for example, become more disciplined.
Hmm.
Uh, if it is as simple as, doing my exercise every day,
Hmm.
or sometimes, not eating the kind of food which I should not be eating. These are simple things, but I struggle with it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to understand your perspective, that how do I go about the application part of it? And can I get some answers from your lessons in the process? And I'm just trying to become disciplined in my life. That's my core issue.
Great. So I think, first of all, let me congratulate you that you're thinking of personal application. That's the agenda of this class. Uh, and absolutely one should meditate on. And of course, every individual situation is different, right? So personal application in their own situation, to meditate on that and to discuss that, with a close group is very, very important, because sometimes you learn from other people's experiences, like, and therefore I'm encouraging and I'm requesting, please share your experiences, share your reflections, because unless and until you won't reflect on it, you won't be able to apply.
Yeah.
So at times we might learn from other people's experience how they've applied, and of course sometimes we may not get the answers, but yes, like you bringing it up, I'm really appreciating that you're bringing up these points, and you're willing to discuss, or willing to you know uh, try and understand how do I apply this. So a simple thing is that at the end of the day, when you go through something like Bhagavad Gita, all the answers are there, right? So but one has to flap their own wings to fly. Right? It's not that someone will automatically do something and I'll start flapping my wings. So one has to put endeavor. Without endeavor, not even a material thing can be achieved, forget spiritual. So the idea behind hearing is to get motivated to get motivation. That's one. Second, also have a clarity on how do I go about applying. Now in your case, say for example, maintain a discipline of exercise or eating the right kind of stuff, a simple discipline, right? And first of all, I think the very core is to, first of all, if we have a value system, if we value something immensely, no matter what may come, we will basically do whatever is in line with that value. Like Arjuna, he's standing on his principle, right? His principle is principle of compassion, and that's what we studied today, right? Even if it means I be killed, he's still standing on that value system, right? So first of all, and this whole process of hearing, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is again very, very important, and reading, right, associating with devotees, is to build that value system. Unless you have good enough reason to get up early in the morning and do your exercise, right, you won't do it. Right? You may have hundreds of excuses to not do it. So that seeing the urgency and importance of it to that degree is important. You may be seeing it as something important as of now. You may be feeling some urgency here and there, but it's not there yet. So being in the right kind of association, and your association will define who you become. What you eat will define who you become. These are practical things which Bhagavad Gita talk about. So imagine yourself sitting in association of people who are health freaks. Automatically you'll be super conscious. Automatically that value system of, look, I need to do something now, will really shoot up. And you will definitely want to be more conscious of what you're eating. You will put in that effort and hard work to kind of get up in the morning early and do some exercise. You will have those kind of friends who will call you up probably, and do sessions together. So all that will happen, right, if you have the right kind of association. And also with association there is food. What we eat affects our consciousness so much we have no clue. And therefore Krishna describes to eat Krishna Prasad, right? Eating Krishna Prasad is absolutely necessary if we want to go anywhere in life, right? If we just eat any outside food, street food, right, made by anyone in whatever consciousness, right? Imagine, the Sev Puri wala or Pani Puri wala on the roadside. He might have fought with his wife, and now in that consciousness of that anger, he's preparing Pani Puri. All that goes in the food, and you're served, and you're eating,
Yeah.
right? How will your mental balance be? You'll be irritable. So, this matter of discipline is actually, and again we also need to understand it doesn't happen overnight. Krishna talks about mind control. He talks about abhyas and vairag. It's very difficult to control the mind, but it's possible through suitable practice and detachment. So you have to do the do's and don'ts. What are the do's? One of the biggest do, which is mantra meditation, which is again to control the mind, right? If you do it regularly, like I remember, I think I've given this example. I used to call my sister Ghas Khane Wali because I was a hardcore non-vegetarian, and she was the first one in our family to give up non-veg food. Right? I used to tease her. It was unimaginable for me what she was doing. But the minute I was introduced to the process of chanting, and it just took me a day to decide that yes, I can not, I should not eat, because the value system had gone so high that yes, this is something which is poison for me. This is so sinful. It's killing myself actually if I'm eating non-vegetarian food. So that value system was so high, I could decide like this. In a day, I could give up non-vegetarian food plus onion, garlic, and other things. In a day, it took a day. That's it. So that kind of resolve and determination will come when the value system is there, when the right kind of association is there, and the practice is there. So the detachment will follow. You don't have to, force yourself at that point in time. If you have good enough reason, and what we are saying is, and it'll come in the second chapter, right? Krishna says, Vishaya vi nivartante niraharisya dehina rasavarjam rasopyascha param drishtva nivartate. Which means that once you start experiencing the higher taste, you automatically give up the lower taste. Once somebody, I'll give you a very mundane example. If somebody starts working out, is seeing results, right? Feeling light in their own body, that itself is so much pleasurable that, and it takes time to reach to that stage also. But once one reaches that stage where one is actually feeling very, very light, one is actually feeling that energy in the body because of that workout, because of shedding so many kilos, right? One feels a pleasure and taste for it, and he doesn't want to go back to what he was or she was before, right? So automatically he will be conscious ki nahi, I don't want to do it anymore, I don't want to eat junk food anymore, right? So higher taste, experiencing higher taste, one automatically gives up the lower taste. But to reach that higher taste, one has to struggle a little bit. And there is where we need, dedicated practice. Even if my mind doesn't say ki aaj nahi karte chalo, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Maharaj used to say, get up in the morning and beat your mind with a broomstick. How to do that? Do exactly opposite what the mind says. And how do you get the energy to say no to the mind? By strengthening your intelligence, by reading scriptures, hearing Shastra, associating with devotees, doing mantra meditation, Manaha Trayatiti mantra, right? That which delivers the mind is mantra. By doing that Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, right, we are actually giving that power to our intelligence to say no to the mind. And once you develop that practice and habit, it'll take some time. But if you constantly do it and stay in association to stay motivated, right, then you can easily do it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so I think in essence, what you're saying is, internally also you need to build yourself, and mantra recitation will do that.
Mantra
That's
meditation plus the right association, right? Associating with devotees plus, specifically, say for example, you want to improve your health, just be around health conscious people. You'll see
Yeah.
you need to take care of the environment which you are in. Don't have things available to you. Right? So if you mind can be, intelligence is supposed to be superior than the mind. But right now the intelligence is completely under control of the mind because it's polluted. It doesn't have any strength. So one has to give power to the intelligence and use that intelligence to intelligently arrange things in a way that you don't fall victim to the allurements of the mind.
Yeah.
So that is something which you can practically do. The how. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. I think it's already 12:52. We'll end this here with a short kirtan. I'll take 2 minutes. Let's end it with a kirtan. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Hare Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare Hare Rama
Rama,
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna.